The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Zekathar's holographic form materialized. Above the central podium, his three eyes scanned the assembled delegates, each representing a different species from across the known galaxy. They had all come seeking answers to the same question: what happened to the human platoon? On Kepler 440b, distinguished members, Zekathar began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard galactic. We have recovered the final transmission from Combat Platoon Delta 7. What you are about to witness defies all tactical doctrine. We have established over 3,000 years of warfare. The holographic display shifted, showing a barren ice world. Kepler 440b had been a strategic choke point in the war against the Zirlock swarm, a ruthless insectoid species that had conquered 47 systems in less than a decade. The human platoon, 32 soldiers, had been assigned to delay a Zirlock battalion of over 3,000 warriors long enough for civilian evacuees to escape. It was supposed to be a suicide mission. The humans had accepted it anyway. Lieutenant Margot Chen's face appeared on the display, frost clinging to her helmet visor. Her dark eyes held a peculiar calmness that unsettled the alien observers. Behind her, the ruins of an ancient mining facility stretched into the darkness. Command. This is Delta 7 Actual. Margot's voice crackled through the static. Zirlock forces have breached our outer perimeter. We're falling back to position Omega. The civilians have cleared the system. Mission accomplished on that front. Delta 7, you are authorized to withdraw, came the reply from the fleet commander. Extraction ships are inbound. Margot glanced at someone off-screen. The camera angle shifted, revealing Sergeant Max Rodriguez checking his rifle's power cell. His jaw was set, his expression grim but determined. Negative. Command, Margot said softly. Extraction would lead the swarm directly to the civilian convoy. We're going to make sure they can't follow. Lieutenant, your orders are to survive if possible. We will, sir. One way or another. Margot cut the transmission. The holographic playback continued, now showing helmet cam footage from multiple soldiers. The human platoon had retreated deep into the mining facility's labyrinthine tunnels, setting up a final defensive position in the largest cavern. The Zirlock swarm poured in after them, chittering and clicking, their razor-sharp appendages scraping against ice and metal. Here they come, Max shouted, opening fire. Plasma bolts lit up the darkness, cutting down the first wave of Zirlock warriors. But there were too many. For every one that fell, 3 more took its place. The humans fought with a ferocity that made even the hardened council delegates uncomfortable. They didn't retreat when their ammunition ran low. They didn't surrender when their positions were overrun. Instead, they fought with knives, with rocks, with their bare hands if necessary. Margot, Max called out, falling back to her position. His armor was cracked, his left arm hanging uselessly. The charges are set. 2 minutes. Admiral Zekathar paused the playback. The humans had mined the entire facility with thermonuclear devices. He explained. They had no intention of leaving that planet alive. But more importantly, they ensured the Zirlock wouldn't either. A crystalline delegate raised an appendage. This is madness. Why not simply detonate immediately? Why engage in close combat? Because, Zekathar replied, they needed to ensure the entire Zirlock battalion entered the kill zone. Watch. The playback resumed. Margot and Max stood back to back in the center of the cavern, surrounded by Zirlock warriors. The countdown timer in the corner of the display read, 0:45. You know, Max said, somehow managing to laugh as he fired his last rounds. I always thought I'd die in bed at 90. We still might, Margot replied, snapping a Zirlock's neck with her bare hands. Just not our own beds. 0:30. The Zirlock commanders finally sensed the trap. Their retreat signals echoed through the cavern, but it was too late. The humans had collapsed the entrance tunnels. There was no escape. 00:15. Double quotes Max, Margot said quietly. It's been an honor. Same. Lieutenant, same. 0:05. The final image showed Margot and Max standing together, weapons empty, surrounded by the alien horde. They weren't praying. They weren't crying. They were smiling. 0 o'clock. The screen went white. Admiral Zekather let the silence stretch before speaking again. The detonation was equivalent to 17 megatons. It created a crater visible from orbit and triggered a seismic event that destabilized the entire region. Of the 3,000 Zirlok warriors that entered that facility, none survived. The human platoon, all 32 members, perished as well. But why? Asked a methane breather delegate. The sacrifice, it gains them nothing. They were already victorious. The civilians escaped. A human delegate, Ambassador Williams, stood slowly. She was an older woman, gray-haired but sharp-eyed. "You don't understand because you're not human," she said simply. Those civilians weren't just random refugees. They were families, children, people who deserved a future. Lieutenant Chen and Sergeant Rodriguez didn't just buy time for an evacuation. They ensured that 3,000 Zirlok warriors could never threaten another human colony, never slaughter another family. She gestured to the empty space where the playback had been. They vanished, yes, but they took the enemy with them. And in doing so, they sent a message to the swarm: humanity will not yield. Humanity will not break. Push us far enough, and we'll drag you into the darkness with us. Zekather nodded solemnly. The Zirlok swarm has requested negotiations for the first time in their history. They claim the humans are touched by void madness. They fear facing an enemy that chooses mutual annihilation over surrender. The council erupted in debate, but Ambassador Williams simply smiled sadly. She thought of Margot and Max, of their final moments together on that frozen hell of a planet. They had vanished from the universe, yes, but their legacy would echo through the stars forever.